Still techno, fusioning. We're talking about creating a 4-point star and using Fusion to lay out symmetrically based on a vertical center line. I'm in Fusion right now and I've got a blank interface here, a new design, and I am inside a project that I called Metal Art Sculpture. So from here we need to create a sketch. We're going to click on bottom plane because that's what Caleb likes to do. Doesn't really matter for this, it's pretty much a one-dimensional object. I'm going to start with a circle and we are going to inscribe an object inside a circle, and I'm just going to type the number 8 here. It knows I want inches and I'm going to hit return or enter. If it didn't know that I wanted inches, I would type 8 inches in or the symbol. That might be important if you don't have your units set to inches, so you may have to tell it manually, hey, I want to use inches. Okay, I've got an 8-inch circle here, and now I'm going to use a center point rectangle, and from this point I'm going to select the origin, click, drag out. I'm going to type the number 2, tab over, type the number 2 again. Actually, I'm changing that up. I'm going to go 1.5 because the last one I did was 1 and I thought it looked kind of cool. 2 is kind of chubby for a star. Click OK. And now I'm going to create just some symmetry on one side and use the mirror tool. So I'll align, and I'm going to go off of this corner, and you got to trust me from here. We're making a 4-point star. I'm going to go up to a point on the grid where it snaps. I'll zoom in a little bit. There's my 2.5 indicator right there. I'm going to come down to where, well, I can go up to 2.5, that's fine. Click, create a line there, zoom back out here. Now right now it wants to create another line and it's like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to hit escape, and then I'm going to hit the line tool, or L for the line tool again. So I could go up here and just click on line, but I hit the L tool, quick command. In this case I'm going to make a symmetrical star that meets at the 2.5 inch mark. Now how do I know it's 2.5? I can see my grids there, the little bit darker grids, and my hypotenuse is really close to 2.5 right now. It's slightly over. So that should be my 2.5. See if those are symmetrical. If I'm not sure, I can inspect, measure them. That one's 2.85. I don't want the degrees. Escape. Inspect, measure again. This one's 1.904. So what does that tell me? It tells me that I have two lines that are not the same. So I need to trim that. Trim or T. Get rid of that. Hit L for line tool again, and I'm going to redo this one. And I want a 1.904 or so to make it the same. Notice it snaps there. I've got the same number. And then I will carry this down to this point here. Let it snap. This one's going to go all the way down to the bottom. It didn't carry my line tool. Click. All the way down to the bottom of our circle where it meets. And then back out. I don't need that one. So I've created half of a star here. I do need a center line in order to mirror off of. So before I can use the mirror function, I have to just create a temporary sketch line that won't be part of my finished work. Now I've got a sketch line there and half of a star. I'm going to use the mirror tool. So under create, mirror, it asks me, what objects do I want to mirror? I want to mirror this, 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 and this. And what mirror line? I have to choose that. I want this to be my mirror line. And voila, I get a star that shows up. And I'm going to click finish. I'm going to click OK for mirror. So now that I've got all these mirrored, I want to round off these points because I don't want to create super sharp points here. I can't bend to that tight of a corner. I'm going to put fillets on there. So under create, modify, fillet, and I'm going to choose these lines. And I'm going to go ahead and grab all of the outside, or my points, my outside lines. I'll do my insides a second round here. but I'm going to select all 8 of these just to be somewhat more efficient. And now I should get a slider here, and I want all these to just be 0.1 and enter. And now that rounded all of my exterior points. Now I do need to do my inside ones too, so I'm going to go back to modify, choose fillet again. I'll grab them all of my inside turns or fillets. So I'm giving some over constraint warnings here. 0.1 as well, and enter. And now I have created a 4-point star with an elongated tail. I'm going to go trim this just to clean some things up here, because I don't need the square anymore as a guideline. And because I want to get a perimeter measurement here, I don't want to have other lines being confused with that. So I think that's cleaned up now. Okay. I'm going to try and drag a box around this, hit escape here, drag a box around and select this all. Oh, it's grabbing the circle too. I don't need the circle. So escape. I'm going to trim the circle away as well. And now I will drag a box. Oh, I'm using the trim tool yet. Escape. Drag a box. Okay, and inspect. And maybe this will show me a loop length of 16 inches. So I think that means that my perimeter around this star is 16 inches, which is good. I could get 2 of them out of a 36-inch stick, possibly, if I'm super efficient. It just tells me that my overall length of the material that I have to use is, well, less than 36. So now that I've got that drawn and the corners radiused, I'm going to use a solid feature. So I want to click on, instead of sketch tools up on the top here, I'm going to go to the solid, and I'm going to use the pipe feature. And this is one that Caleb Countryman showed me. I haven't used this a lot. I'm going to select all of the lines here, or the whole all lines. And does that look good? Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And my section size here, I'm going to put in 1/16 of an inch. So very thin. Now it doesn't like this, the inch, so I can do this as a fraction. I think I can do the inches marks. No, it doesn't like that either. It just wants the fraction. So we'll click OK. And now that we've got our 1/16 inch star drawn proportionally, next step is to bring it into a working drawing so we can use it as a template. Okay, probably a good idea to save at this point before I get too far. Now I'm going to go 4_point_star. Computers like underscores. And 1/16 of an inch is 0.0625 diameter. And I don't want it to be in musky lures. I want it to be in metal art sculpture. But there we go. Save. And now that that's saved, here's the next step. We're going to take this from a design here into a working drawing. So I'm going to go new drawing from this existing design, and it asks me, do I want to use a template? That's probably cheating because none of you have templates. So I'm going to go from scratch. I do want to change this to be an A-sized 11 by 8.5 sheet, and that means that it's horizontally going to fit. It's going to fit on a normal piece of paper, and it's going to be oriented horizontally. So I'm going to click OK. That's going to bring my drawing or my design into a drawing. And initially when it comes in, it might not be oriented correctly because I chose the bottom view, which, again, that's why I wouldn't have chose bottom view, but some people think that's the way to go. When it comes in here, it's probably going to be laying flat, like I'm looking at the edge, and that's not very conducive to placement. Yeah. So I have to change the orientation to be a top view in order to see it. And notice it's really small. I also have to change my scale. I want this to be full size, 1:1. So that is what it should actually be in real life. It's the guide that I'm going to use. Once I get that one-to-one and oriented correctly so I'm looking straight on at the top of it, then I'm going to place that base view by clicking. And I can click OK here at some point. Now I still have a mess down here because I have a default title block. It's just ugly, and I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to turn my title block off, uncheck display title block. I'm going to leave the border on. Now just to put a quick basic title block in, click on table here, choose empty table, and bring that 4x5 in down to the bottom and snap it into the bottom right corner. Whoop-ah. Click. And now before I get out of this, I want to subtract some rows out. I only need probably 2 rows in order to identify anything possible. I'll put my name in there. Schulte. 4-point star. Scale is 1:1. Date 12/8/20. Units. Oops. Units. Inches. And what else do I need? That's probably good for now. Okay. So once it's in here, I do want you to dimension this because it will help for layout. So you're going to go under this command right here and dimension. Notice it's also the D key. That's the quick command. You can click on some of these segments. Now this is not entirely accurate because we're measuring pipe segments, but I want you to have overall lengths here and know with confidence that all of these are 1.63. Oh, that one's 1.62. How about that? Probably because the angles are different, right? 2.85. I have to click on that and then click again in order to place it. 2.85, click. These are all 1.62s. Oh, didn't like that. Click and click again to place. And then the radius is here. It would be nice to know how much material is going to be bent around this corner. So 0.13. And I could put that in as typical. TYP. Which basically means that all of my outside corners are 0.13. Now what is that in, these are decimal inches, so that makes it a little tougher. I can change my annotation to be more accurate to the 3rd decimal place. 0.125 would be 1/8 of an inch. So I'm only bending about 1/8 of an inch around here. This is fairly tight. Nose of a needle nose, it's going to be wider than that probably. So we may have to bump up our size here and make the star bigger in order to bend these accurately. My thought and goal is to have you lay out these segments, line length segments, on your material before you bend it up. The secondary or confirmation of that would be to bend it over the top or mark it out over the top of a printed sheet of paper like this. So now that I've got this marked up and dimensioned, I'm going to save this as well. 4-point star, 0.0625, sweet. Okay, and to Metal Art Sculpture save. And then I'm going to output a PDF file. So if I click up here, output PDF, all sheets, it's just one, click OK. It's going to ask me, hey, where do you want this to go? And I am going to send it to my downloads folder, save. Now, if you have the ability to print from home, this is where you would open up that PDF and print it from your downloads. Okay, you want to print it out of the PDF. So double click, it's going to open it with preview, and I would print this to my local printer. If you don't have printer access at home, then you could send me this file. We could do a Google Drive, drop our folder in the assignment. That's probably what I'll do. I could print it off and send it back to you. You could pick it up. That's the second option. Third option would be just to use the measurements that you've been given now and do some layout on the paper, on the metal, to see if you can get accuracy that way. Fourth option, which Countryman does not recommend, would be actually using the screen to bend off of. I would not recommend that either. And the other reality is you have to be like full view, and I don't know if it shows a percentage. Oh, actual size. There we go. Right there, right now, is my actual size of this. So probably not advised to lay a metal rod down on your computer screen and try and bend it up on there. It's not going to go well. What you could do is transfer your numbers from here onto some metal and bend from there. I am going to pause the video, and that's where we will pick it up.